Hi, this is R.B. Reynolds, and I'm back with another presentation from Danny the Budgie. And no, I'm not incognito. I just decided to grow a little beard. This is a complete quantum reversal of Danny's God's Intervention, Part B. I never thought I'd be doing a presentation on the precession of the Equinoxes when all this began 20 years ago. I was always quick to dismiss astrology as pseudoscience, until recently when the Budgies began talking about the heavens, stars, sun, and the quantum world. The signs of the zodiac have been around since at least 1500 BC, and possibly even longer with the Sumerians at 4000 BC. They were derived when certain civilizations began to notice and document distinct behaviors in people who were born at certain times during the year, and they evolved with associating these behaviors with certain star clusters that were prominent in the ecliptic planes as the Earth traveled around the Sun. The assumption was that these movements affected and were somehow linked to the individuals who were born at that particular time of the year. When it comes to the precession of the equinoxes, it relates to the zodiac signs on a larger scale, as the Earth travels greater distances in the galaxy. Before we move on any further, I'd like to review some of the things that the Budgies have said in previous presentations while channeling the angels. I'm not going to get presentation specific and tell you exactly where they said it, word for word, but if you really want to know, you will have to review some of the previous presentations yourself. One thing they have consistently said is that they are here now to help protect and prevent humanity in the future from more pain and suffering. They call themselves Sentinels of the Future, which is the reason I named this YouTube channel Sentinels of the Future. They also have talked much about the miracles of the quantum world, spiritual evolution, and God's plan for humanity. In a previous presentation, not far back, they basically stated that current humanity is in a state of collective amnesia when it comes to our past, and we need to know the truth about it so we will know what to expect. So, in essence, they are saying that the present is the key to the past, and the past is the key to the future. It is similar to never experiencing a blizzard before, and you would not know what to expect when one came, so you would not be prepared for it. Until recently, mainstream archaeologists and scientists believe that modern humans have only been around since about 5,000 or 6,000 years BC, meaning that was the time that humans began to move from hunter-gatherers into farmers and began constructing societies where they built cities and advanced culture. More recently, they have just recognized and found evidence of advanced societies as far back as 12,500 years ago, which was the turn of the last ice age. There's also been evidence, even in the US, that dates advanced culture back even further to 150,000 to 180,000 years ago. Unfortunately, recorded history has only documented the last 6,000 or 7,000 years, and prior to that, we really have no idea of what went on. Many of the ancient monolithic sites that have been discovered have provided strong evidence that some of these cultures' building techniques were far more advanced than we are today. Keep in mind that they have carbon dated these incredible sites according to the material that was found from the last inhabitants who occupied them, and in most cases, that is where the 5,000 to 6,000 years BC came from. Also understand, the rock that was used to build these structures cannot be carbon dated. So in reality, the timing only comes from the last civilizations that occupied the structure. Therefore, they do not take into consideration that any evidence of the people who actually built the monoliths or structure would be eradicated within a couple of hundred years by the most recent inhabitants. So trying to date any of these structures based on carbon dating is not a true representation of what it really of when it really was made or who made them, even if they were covered in hieroglyphics or ancient writings of some kind. There is no real evidence of when the writings were added, and if they were, there since the structures were originally made. So some of the questions one might ask at this point is why we are just now beginning to find out that advanced civilizations have been on Earth much longer than we thought. This can mainly be attributed to mainstream archaeology, who gave the perception that we have only been here for the accepted time frame they established, and that anyone who disagreed or found evidence to the contrary was either a quack or fake. For example, many archaeologists who found evidence of advanced civilizations that dated further back than the accepted norm either lost funding, were widely criticized by other archaeologists, and discredited in one way or another. Most archaeologists were told that there was no use in digging past a certain depth in the earth to find more ancient civilizations because they did not exist. It's only recently that mainstream archaeologists are becoming more receptive to the idea that humanity was around much longer than they originally thought, and they are beginning to dig deeper. Another question we might ask is what happened to these ancient civilizations, as many just seem to disappear off the face of the earth. That is where learning about our ancient past is so important. Finally, we might want to know why these amazingly advanced monolithic structures were made in the first place, and what can we learn from them. So that leads us into the first part of Danny's recording here that may be part of the answer. So Danny starts off by saying, "And we will leave this insight here, abiding our time remaining, to get it clearer. If you're watching me, we can prove God is working. All this planning will become a means of serious prophecies in here. Enjoy our timing escalating quantumly. It's evolved humanity for many reasons that we welcome here. You need to ask questions when you begin to gain respect." In part 2 he says, "If you love our philosophies, it's a good day for you to learn what's possible. And this bird will at least be sharing further to prove it. So remember to act right if you're watching. I will try to reiterate what I know. You can't deny a sitting prophet should be familiar to what is happening to fully ensure their ideal success in many things." In part 3 he says, "What they will be enduring is comparative to quandary reaction. They will be given time if they're really affected by the synopsis. If you're afraid to live by the reflection of humanity, it's avoiding the hist of time. God has not relinquished the primary esoteric projection to the current humanity. Momentarily, you're approaching the age of miracles, and we shall know who is a part of it." Now let's listen to those 3 parts. Yeah, it was. Do you want to still continue? I'll leave it there for a few more minutes and see what you do. Sorry I interrupted you there. I thought it wasn't recording. Alright, so I'm going to send you over 500. It is interesting when Danny said the esoteric projection to current humanity. I believe he is saying that even if we can get through to a small number of people through what he is doing here, it will make a big difference. I used to think not too long ago that God and humanity would always find a way to save the earth from global catastrophes. However, the more I research it, and especially the evidence being found lately, I have changed my personal opinion on that. Although God may be able to set humanity in the right direction to help protect it, he may not be able to prevent total destruction of the Earth's atmosphere or global disasters that would change the structure of the Earth. It may also be a natural part of Earth's evolution to start over again. For example, if you look at the thousands of craters on the moon that were caused by meteors, the evidence is very high that the Earth could easily be struck by one as well. The Earth's gravitational pull is at least 3 times greater than that of the moon's, and any one of the meteorite collisions that happened there could have wiped out humanity and most animals on the planet. So if it's inevitable, why is he talking about survival and protection of humanity? First, let's assume that he's not only talking about current humanity, but the past and future humanity as well. Humanity obviously survived in one way or another during our last global events, and that's why we don't have evidence of billions of people's remains. Perhaps they found some way to escape it as they were approaching the same issues we have now. Let's look at the options humanity has. Obviously, for non-global events like earthquakes and volcanoes, it would be nice to know when they are going to happen so we could get the heck out of the way. When it comes to global events, that is a different story, and unless humanity has a backup plan, as much as 90% of the population could be wiped out. One plan might be to find another uninhabited planet like Earth and move everyone to it. For us, that sounds quite impossible, for we are not close to the technology that could build those size ships, and we would have to be able to travel at the speed of light. Another option might be to go underground, but I don't think I'd want to live a life like that, even if it was possible. There are a few other options that most people do not think about. In some of the past presentations, the angels have communicated that we will meet aliens soon and they will come as our friends. These aliens may be what God has dispatched through his understanding of a higher, more advanced spiritual being that has evolved in God. We have no idea of the amount of life forms in the universe, some of which could be 1,000 or even 1,000,000 years more advanced with their resources, their technology, and spiritually. We could also find the knowledge that would create either a wormhole or a gateway to another dimension in space or time. All mankind would have to do is step through it, and if there was more than one, it would not take long to evacuate the entire Earth. Lastly, we may even have help from future humanity. Perhaps what we learn here about the quantum will eventually enable humanity to have time travel, which we could use to save humanity in the future. Unfortunately, there are not too many people on this earth that know now what God has planned for humanity. All I know right now is that it is something good and wonderful, and I look forward to learning more about it. So now let's move on to the next parts of Danny's recording. In part 4 he says, "We can't make heaven delay the wheel that's starting to come around for a pattern coming on earth. It's coming close to us all. Maybe you are in danger. If humanity is weakened, then he can let us know earlier. He won't give up the fight. If you will buy into the way he's doing it, we can be right on the ball when we're going to experience evil to ensure it's temporary. When you believe this is not the end of me projecting a really big following, it all can't just be ignored and be let go on the earth. If you want to survive, you have to question genocidal extinction. What are you afraid of if we can reverse this plague as we are giving clear intervention?" Part 5 he says, "The sun is at a distance, providing us this effort and offering humanity a miracle. All of you who are searching for truth will need this miracle to help produce hope in family and anyone that hears this. You can feel it's a real radio to heaven. The journey you may never forget, to a faraway place channeled through someone who seeks solace from a world that hails morality." In part 6 he says, "You should realize Ryan shall launch the ship with you and humanity. He'll consecrate the future and will reverse the evil. If you want a weapon, we'll give you enough time to reveal the tree of illusion. We'll come with light, revealing God's knowledge, even if you can't see the force of related evils in some religions." Wow, boy, that's so long, and there must be so much that's going to take me a while. Thank you for all that, Danny. You're amazing. Is there anything you need that you want to ask me for? Okay, we'll stop it here. Thank you, Danny. And I think read about the Facebook. Trophy sign, we didn't need anything. Agora fiquem a negociação musical não almoço eu So those last 3 parts were quite revealing, and one of the reasons I started looking into the precession of the equinoxes. In this and past presentations, there has been mention of the sun, the wheel turning, and the stars. So what is the precession of the equinoxes? It's a gravity-induced axial precession which causes a slow and continuous change in the orientation of Earth's axis rotation as it and the planets in our solar system rotate around the sun. It's the largest part of the cycles which appear approximately every 26,000 years, which is called the Great Year. Here's a short video from Graham Hancock and David Wilcock explaining the precession of the equinoxes. Although I do not agree with everything they talk about in their quest for the truth, this is one part that seems to have a lot of credibility.
This is a huge mystery.
Now, these ancient cultures also seem to have mythological statements that had a lot of numbers in them.
Yes.
And the numbers were very curious to you.
I think the numbers are extremely important. There's a body of myths from all around the world that include what turn out to be, expressed in the language of myth and the symbolism of myth. What they capture is extremely precise observations of a phenomenon called the precession of the equinoxes,
right?
Which is, everybody's heard about the dawning of the age of Aquarius, and most people are aware that we're living towards the end of the age of Pisces right now. But what that actually means is that if you stand at any point on the Earth on the 21st of March, an hour before dawn, and look due east, you'll see a constellation sitting on the horizon in the place where the sun will shortly rise. And that constellation for the last 2,000 or so years has been Pisces. But because of a wobble on the axis of the Earth, which unfolds very, very slowly and it's very hard to observe, we're gradually tracking backwards. The sun as a pointer against the zodiac is gradually tracking backwards through the zodiac.
1 degree every 72 years.
1 degree every 72 years. That's the key figure. And it's moving through Pisces and into Aquarius, and the time will come very soon when, as you stand at dawn looking due east on the 21st of March, the spring equinox, you'll see Aquarius on the horizon, not Pisces. Now, it unfolds at the rate of 1 degree every 72 years. There are 30 degrees to each house of the zodiac, so that means each age is 2,160 years, and since there are 12 houses of the zodiac, that gets you to 25,920 years for what's called the Great Year, when the entire cycle completes and comes back to the beginning again. And it's very old, and it comes down to us out of the mists of prehistory, and I believe it is a worldwide legacy from a lost civilization.
So let's move on now with the words to part 7. He says, "In every infection of spirit where you see confusion, we will give you some information that will help you spiritually. If you're ready, we'll provide the help that can free you. As I shed all this in life, it halts the infection. If your infection eludes you, you're not up to it so far, what we have sent in this form." Moving on to part 8, Danny said, "This isn't illusion. It's a miracle that comes with time. For never will illusion illustrate what's coming. That's why a special communication is really evolution in this selected time. If you choose to believe our tree is heavenly, you'll renounce the evil in humanity and all that matters for your spiritual ascension." So in the final part of this reverse, Danny says, "With help of endowed prophets who are ready to help with a program, you of course shall see you'll gain manageable upgrades in evolution while you're helping humanity. Spiritually, many will know confusion really drains the whole spirit. God is giving this prophecy to help you release your fear and reverse evil spiritually. For us, it's a right to seek spiritual evolution. It's God's promise, as a gift, that all like you shall experience the great entirety of heaven as long as you reach it spiritually. Heaven really waits for you, so don't feel so bad. You've earned it if you already can hear us. He will release a sign when he thinks it's right for you, and you'll have a choice. It's your life."
How far away is it? That was hero, here's a weapon. Alright, these are underneath the heroes, so we need at least 9mm for afraid to be one. I need to quit so I
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Pisces age, which we are coming out of now, and the age of Aquarius, the one that we're going into. During the Pisces age, people were in preparation for what's coming when shifting to the Aquarian age. Being a Pisces myself, I never really looked into it before. Apparently, it was time for people to have the tools they would need to transform from the Piscean age that we had been in for 2,000 years into this new age. Pisces stands for faith, belief, sacrifice, and religion. Aquarius represents thought, contemplation, innovation, and science. In the movement from the former era to the latter, religion battles science. Some see Pisces as the age of illusion as well. Christianity entered the scene at the beginning of the Pisces age 2,000 years ago, and the symbol for Pisces is the fish, as well as it is for Christianity. Right now, you can see the deception and illusion in every aspect of your life: appearance, finances, communication, your home, entertainment, health, the foods you consume, drugs, government, and religion. What about Aquarius? The Aquarian age points to the direction of humanity's evolution in consciousness. We are each being asked to make a choice. It's whether or not we want to maintain the old outdated values or adopt the new evolving ones. Our happiness and peace may depend on it, and our choice for change will take place whether we like it or not. Humanitarianism is also important for the new era. This could represent the emergence of global governments, organizations, and religions. Some people also talk about DNA activation and gaining universal knowledge. Whatever it is, the ancients were waiting for the wheel to come full circle. That's why they often pointed to the stars during the first days of the seasons. And we've recently been finding that out in discoveries of ancient monoliths. So before closing, I'd like to talk a little bit about myths. It wasn't long ago that scientists and historians alike said that the Great Flood was a myth. Recent discoveries have proven that it wasn't, even though most ancient religions of the world talk about it as fact. There are many amazing, incredible things that ancient religions talk about that seemed impossible for us. For example, giants. Until recently, most people believed that they were a myth as well. It wasn't too long ago that I was told that the angels were going to dictate a new Bible, which will not be edited by humans, who, like in the past, only wanted us to have knowledge of things according to the culture and religion of the times. So we still have another 50 presentations to go, folks, as a starter. I have no doubt we should be learning the truth soon. This completes this presentation. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to join us, you can come to theangelscrolls.com and click onto the forum link at the top, where we will be adding the newest presentations. Bye for now.